Hey guys, so it is a blustery day in the 100-acre woods, and I know I was gonna wait for frost to take the tops of my potato plant, but I'm getting a little impatient, and we're on a low 40s spell for a while. So I might as well pull these out because I don't want to leave them in too long. And then today is just a little bit of a work day. I don't have any really super big thoughts or things to share with you. Or maybe I will. Who knows what I'll be thinking when I'm working later. So I'm going to start to get to work. So I think this is a great visual to end. It looks like I started a whole bunch of things I didn't finish, and I'm going to tell you why. I wanted to test my theory about the butcher twine helping to assist hold up the insulation before I put sheetrock up, which the sheetrock is still going to be a nightmare. I'm probably going to have to inquire about some husband hefty assistance, or that didn't sound right. I am going to have to figure that out, or I'm going to have to ask for help, which is fine. But I will say that for the little section that I did put up, it is working out just fine. And I need to finish that, but to finish that, I want to thoroughly shot back out these little crevices. And there's actually 2 or I think 3 birds' nests in here. And then, as you saw, that window came out surprisingly easy. So hopefully they don't think that when they take out my windows in 50 years. But I'm excited about this back wall for 2 reasons. One, I don't have to spackle and sand it and paint it. Caleb wants to do some sort of like a palette type of wood wall, which I'm excited about, right? But it also means I don't have to do all of that stuff of spackling and waiting for it to dry and then paint it. I hate painting. But, so this went up rather quickly, rather fast. And then once all this insulation is up, it'll free up all this space, and then I can put down the floor. And the electrical is largely going to just be used for how it is here. And yeah, it looks good. Oh, potatoes, not great potato harvest this year. The only thing that really did well were my yellow potatoes. I forget what they're called. I want to call them Purple Majesties, which sounds very bougie. They did not do well. They never do well for me. And they're going to be one of those vegetables where I grow it until I know how to grow it, and at that point I will be emotionally attached to it, so then I will always grow it, sort of like corn. And so there's always next year. And then I'm trying to think. I have some more windows in the garage I need to figure out if they're for here or not. I hope they're for here. And I'm trying to think. So today's not a bad productive day. I have to go figure out what I'm doing for dinner, but yay! All right. So today with Cooking with the German, I am making a death threat, or I'm making a chickpea-based stew, or I'm gonna call it a stew. It's maybe more chili in texture. I am using a butternut squash, one of only 3 that grew in my garden this year. 1 large onion, or whatever you consider to be the equivalent to that. I did not grow these. Some garlic, arugula and or spinach, and then the last of our tomato harvest, and I need to pick all the peppers out. And then some spices, but that's really it. I'm gonna opt in for some pumpernickel bread because it is delicious, but this is going to be a meal that takes a little bit of a longer prep. So let's just start by slicing our butternut squash. And we're just gonna slice it, cover it with a little bit of vegetable-based lubricant, and we're going to bake it for roughly 400 degrees for 15 to 25 minutes. We're gonna look for just a little bit of caramelization on the squash, and then we'll take it out. You have to soak your chickpeas the night before, and we make our own peppercorn vodka for Bloody Marys, but I also use this for soaking chickpeas. Bitter palate, bitter soul, bitter chickpeas, better chickpeas. So I have a heaping 2.5 cups after soak, and what we're going to just do is we're going to cut our onions and mince our garlic. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then I'm going to get my stew pot. And I'm just going to load my garlic and my diced onions in. And then I'm going to add my vegetable-based lubricant. It is, I would say, roughly 1/8 of the bottom of the pan. Then just a little salt, a tablespoon of cumin, a teaspoon of paprika, a couple cranks of red pepper, and I'm gonna put this on a low heat to make the onions translucent. Okay, so while the spices are blooming and the onions are translucinating, that's not a word. I have just store-bought spinach. You could use canned spinach and drain it. You can use the spinach from your garden. I was originally hoping for a fall arugula harvest. That's not gonna happen for us this year. So I have to switch course, and that's fine. That stuff happens. So I will say a loose cup, which is, I don't know. What would this be? 4 ounces by weight, maybe? That might be a very crude estimate. And we're just going to give it a very unmeasured chop. And I'm going to add that to the pot. So now is to tomatoes. And as we know, this year I went overboard because I know that Caleb loves them, and this was the year I was putting the garden back together, and I was determined to get the yellow pear tomatoes, but just to have tomatoes for some other goals. And I want to make sure there's not a jalapeno sneaking in here. Like this. But we are... So this is the last of our tomato harvest for the year. And I have like a menagerie of, I think these are Romas. I planted a couple Romas, a couple of open pollinated varieties of this year, and then yellow pear, and I had, I think, grape tomato seeds that I planted. Oh, here's another pepper. And a green bean. And whatever tomato variety this is. So I am going to say this is about two and a half or 3 pounds of tomatoes, and I'm just going to cut this up. And now I'm going to add that to the pot. Feels like it got darker in here. What is next? Okay, so we're going to add our chickpeas. And I am going to grab the butternut squash and we'll start cutting that up. Okay, so we pulled the butternut squash out of the oven. It has just a light caramelization over it. And now we're gonna cut it up. We're gonna add this to the pot, and we are going to get some bread. And we are going to cut the bread. And now, I'm just gonna toss this on a pan and give it a quick toast in the toaster oven. All right. So I'm going to go get some chickpea stew. Then I have our toasted bread. I wish you could smell how heavenly this is. It smells so amazing.
This is so pretty. Okay, that is much better. Look how gorgeous this is. Imagine if it was arugula.
All right, this might be a mess. It was super hot. Remember to keep going from where you are. Cheers.